Welcome to the Wild Pitch Podcast.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Wild Pitch Podcast. Today's a special day. We have a internet sensation with us, Jeff Frye. And, you know, as a young player growing up, you know, for me, it's pretty cool because I was an undersized middle infielder. I always looked at guys like Jeff Frye, Mike Bordick, Jody Reed, those guys, and I figured, hey, that's what hopefully I could become. And, you know, for me, so it's really good to have him here. He's a guy I looked up to and tried to pattern my game after a little bit. But I think what started as a joke, and we'll ask him, has turned into he's almost like the spokesman of all of us former pros. And he's the certified hitting guru, as you can see his handwritten sign says in his video. Self-proclaimed. But Jeff, we can't thank you enough. We're all just having a blast with your videos, and you really do speak to everything we all believe in, and it's awesome that somebody's standing up to the
Yeah, we finally got a mouthpiece out there.
Yeah,
everybody's been quiet up to this point.
And I will say, you're a brave man to do it.
Well, I'm not sure that I voluntarily became this. What it seems like it's turned into. It just goofing off in my backyard with my son, made one little like 11 or 12 second video and thought I'd put it on Twitter. And I joined Twitter probably 7 or 8 years ago and never really used it. And I was like, I'd really like to start doing some speaking at high schools and college and stuff, kind of like Steve Springer does. And I saw Springer. I was like, man, I can do that. And so I got to build up more of a presence on social media. So I did the video and put it on Twitter just as a joke. And man, the backlash was
how quick was the first negative response you got?
Oh, right away. Direct messages from, you want me to name these people?
Sure. You can drop names here.
Aces, Sangio, Teacher Man, some dude named the Less Nozzle, or I don't know what it is, something like that. And, they're like direct message and like calling my son's names and what are your son's videos, show your work. I love to show your work. Show your work. Show like a video of a 12-year-old girl hitting the softball off a tee. That's showing your work. I mean, so after the backlash and the response I got,
I'm sorry, I gotta cut you off. Show your work. I mean, show your work. Do we know who we're talking to at that point?
No,
just go on the internet and type in your name.
No, well, apparently they didn't know who I was. Any of them never heard of me or whatever, which I don't mind. No big deal. I'm 53 years old, so I played a long time ago. So, but the show your work thing, and it was like, man, what's going on here? And next thing I know, I'm like, man, I got pretty pissed. I'm like, I'm gonna have to make another video, obviously. And then it's just kind of snowballed from there. And, now it's like, I try to do like one video a week, but there's really no rhyme or reason as to when I do another video. Like yesterday, I had no plans of making a video, but Woody Williams, y'all remember Woody Williams?
Yeah,
he had a great career as a pitcher. He sent me that video of the guy holding those deals filled with water or whatever. And so I was just like, how can I copy that? And we had these little solar, I don't even know what they are, lights or whatever. So I put, I got some zip ties and put them on my PVC pipe. And next thing I know, that's the closest I could get to that. And it's kind of funny. I just like, all of a sudden something will pop in my head. I'm making a video.
Yeah, I saw that one clip you were talking about with the guy with the water. I was like, what the hell? And I thought it was a joke at first, but he was actually serious.
Yeah, I mean, all these things look like jokes, but they are serious. Watch Aces Sangio in his backyard with some kind of bow and arrow thing around his waist and standing on like a half ball. You can't make this stuff up.
No, and you can't talk to them either, right? I mean,
Oh, no.
So the other day there was a local guy that did a podcast, and Chris and I listened to it because he had Teacher Man on.
Yep.
So, it was just making breakfast. I'm like, I'm going to throw this clown on and hear this stuff. And he says about you, he goes, Jeff Frye couldn't play in the big leagues today. And I was like, holy crap. Like, how does he possibly think that to be the case? And how can he possibly say that? Like,
I listened to that podcast and it pissed me off. And
I
I
mean-
immediately put some stuff. It's like, if Mike Trout said that, I might believe it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, if some superstar player says the game's just so different, I wouldn't wholeheartedly believe it, but he at least has, a reputation in this game. This guy,
Yeah.
the superstars of the game, if they came out and spoke out about how the game's different, of course, us guys, that played in the big leagues, we have a lot of pride. We could take on any challenge. We're not, even at 50 years old, we wouldn't be afraid, But to have people who never even played professional baseball tell you that, it just kind of, infuriates you a little bit.
Well,
listen,
yeah, I mean, it goes to show though, because we didn't mention this before, Jeff, but we coach collegially with Frank Catalanato, who I'm sure you're familiar with, played a long time in the big leagues, and he's the same way. He looks at this stuff. He goes, the gall of some of these people to just make these assessments, and the things that they throw out there, and they talk about how what was I guess was considered successful approach in the past would not work today, and we just know that to not be true. I don't think the game's changed that much as these guys, make.
No, and they have to convince people that it has, I think,
Right.
because if you look at the greats of our game, the history of our game, and I love this game. It's been my life, ever since my uncle taught it to me when I was a little boy, and my sons love it. We watch it all the time. We talk about it. Obviously, I talk about it. I've been involved in professional baseball for 15 years as a player, and now 18 years as an agent. So this has been my life, so I've seen, so much in my lifetime, and I always respected the guys who came before us. When I came up to the big leagues, man, I didn't even talk to anybody. I just sat in my locker and kept my mouth shut. But that's different. Now guys come up, and it's like, the game, they invented the game. So a lot of that stuff that has changed over the years, but to have people who never played really, I'm going to back up real fast. I never said you had to be a professional player to be a good coach. Some of my best coaches weren't professional, didn't play at all, but they were great coaches.
Yep.
Okay. But they never dismissed guys that did play and said they don't know anything.
That's the arrogance.
That's what it is.
Right.
That's
the
basically
arrogance.
what they're doing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the best part was, and from that podcast that we both listened to, apparently he talks about Barry Bonds, right? And he says, hey, I went in my basement, this 62-year-old man, he goes in his basement and he's going to emulate the swing. And he goes, I couldn't look like Barry Bonds unless I tilted. Unless I tilted my body, I couldn't look like him. I said, that's exactly the opposite of what you're trying to say, because Barry told you in all these videos he's putting out. He put out a great video with Alex Rodriguez. He's quoted in Christian Yelich's great video about how his approach was to swing down, get on top, like we all thought about, just so we had like a normal swing that played out in the game. And he said, I had to tilt, but Barry doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, the answer is right there. Who do you think you are? It's insane.
Yeah. Barry Bonds, obviously, aside from the PED stuff,
Right.
maybe one of the greatest hitters that ever lived. If you looked at some of his seasons where he had like a 12 or 1300 OPS and like,
right.
230 walks and 40 strikeouts. And,
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
This dude was
the wild
the best of the
thing
best.
is that the people translate that into, well, they didn't know what they were doing and they can't explain it.
Right. I love that.
That's
Real
what they
versus
go with.
feel. Yeah. They talk about real versus
Feel.
Yeah.
Feel versus real. Like,
Yeah.
feel this. Come on.
I can't stomach it. I can't even.
What did you think of the Yelich thing? How'd you feel about that when he came out and made that point?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, if you look at a swing, it probably isn't actually swinging down, but in our minds, we were trained to swing down almost, with little kids, sometimes I'll say it's like you're chopping a tree down. Okay.
Yep.
You're chopping down, but actually you're not able to do that in your swing. You're going to create some type of angle. Hold on. It's starting to rain on me. I got to move. Sorry.
We just lost the good view.
There we go. Yeah, it's starting to rain on me. Sorry, guys.
That's fine.
That's better. All right. Yeah. So the feel versus real thing, it just blows me away. Oh, these guys were good players, but they didn't know what they were doing and all that. It's like, come on now.
And I always call Twitter, like, I'm afraid to put anything out there. It's like touching a hot stove. You go in and like, holy crap, as you know now very full well. But the thing is, like, I've made 2 comments to like hitting guys, and they say, look at these guys, their bats lagging through the zone. And I said, that's fine. I said, oh no, hold on.
Party foul.
Jesus.
Yeah. Clean it up over there. As you can see, Jeff, we got a minor league operation here.
So,
I mean, I can handle a rainstorm and you can't turn your phone off.
it's off. That's the thing. So I said to those guys, I said, show me a guy that does what you think that we do. Like, show me a guy that swings down across his body and his swing doesn't come back up through the zone. It's fine. Give me one. And both times it was crickets. They couldn't. Whatever these guys do, we all did, no matter what our thought process was. But now if I'm going to try to swing up, now I'm in trouble,
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing that's lacking from these guys is they haven't experienced what the thought process looks like to be successful. That you have to have certain thoughts in your head so that you don't hit the ball,
And that's more important than anything. That's more important than your swing. It's like, okay, so runner on third base, infield in. I got a right-handed pitcher who throws mid-90s runs the ball in. I got to keep the ball away from third base, try and hit something the big part of the field. And all that's going through your mind. Then he buzzes your tower one time, and now you know what I mean? None of that stuff is ever talked about.
Yeah.
It's just hit off the tee and, oh, great swing. And you see some of these swings that their backswing is so long, it's going to take him 3 seconds to get out of the batter's box.
Jeff,
you still run after you hit it. You can't hit
bring up a great point there with that. And I think if you can, for our audience to hear it and just really hear it, is there's situations in baseball that aren't spoken of. And these guys are in a cage teaching this crazy stuff. But you just hit it on a nail on the head for me. There are situations never spoken about that play such a pivotal role in you guys at the plate, in a game offensively. Can you talk a little bit about that and like just get into detail on it and so the parents can hear like what's really going on in that cage versus what's going on in the game?
Yeah, I mean, every at bat is a different situation in the game, right? I mean, normally you get 4 at bats in a game. Most times, 9 inning games. Sometimes you get 5, whatever. Sometimes 3. But every situation is different. If I'm leading off the game, okay, the situation is different than when I come up in the 3rd inning with a runner on 3rd and 2 outs. Or the next inning when I have my next AB when I have 1st and 2nd and no outs. So, the score of the game determines my approach a lot of times. And I was a very patient hitter, okay? My job was to get to first base. I know I take a lot of flack from these guys for being a Judy because I wasn't a power. I weighed 160 pounds when I played in the big leagues. I don't know how many guys in the big leagues are power hitters right now at 5'9", 160. So my job was to get on base any way possible. Hit by pitch, walk, base hit, bunt, whatever. So every time I went up to the plate, I had a plan, okay? My plan is to get to first base. I check the third baseman out, see if he's playing me in. If he's playing me back, I might bunt. A hit and run situation, okay? Which was my specialty. I was really good at hit and run because I hit a lot of ground balls. And I would watch which infielder would cover the base before I got up, okay? So I'd look and see who's shading towards second. So I would know if maybe because I hit the ball the other way a lot, the shortstop might cover instead of the second baseman. So in that situation, I'm going to try and hook a ball and hit a ground ball to the left side. That way, if we do a hit and run, the shortstop's covering. I hit a 25 hopper through the hole. We got 1st and 3rd and a big inning going, So all those situations were different every at bat. I mean, there's a few times in my career I came up, in the 9th inning, losing by 10 where I'm trying to go deep, and I never did. I couldn't go deep trying to go deep. Those were accidents.
But hey, Jeff, it's a different game now also with the ball. I mean, I think you probably hit a few home runs today. Smaller
There's
stadiums.
and the parks are different.
Yep.
When I first got called up to the big leagues, it was difficult for me to hit a home run in batting practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And my last year in 2001 in Toronto, one round of BP, I hit 3 balls in one round of BP in the second deck in a row. That's not the same baseball. I mean, I didn't
Right.
all of a sudden gain power,
Right.
you know, but now you see some of these balls, especially last year. I mean, I think it's pretty evident something's up when they introduced the ball to AAA and there's like 54% more home runs hit in 1 year in AAA.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? So it's obvious. So, you know, what I do love is how you talked about all those little details, you know, as it related to your game awareness, right? And that's the other thing that's lacking in today's, you know, development of these baseball players is that everybody's trained into metrics, everybody's trained into data, and nobody knows how to play the game, you know?
It's a select ball crap.
No, that's absolutely right. And, you know, we talk to guys and buddies who are still on the professional side through player development, and they say, you know, they get their hands on these kids and, you know, they don't know how to round the base. You know, they don't, you know, they just are not, their baseball acumen and their awareness is just such, you know, at a poor level that they're you know, they're finding themselves having to try and teach them the game from scratch, you know. Yeah, granted, they may have some of the tools that are necessary to play the game, but they're just the knowledge behind it, or just being able to go out there and actually put it into play, is lacking at an all-time high nowadays.
Yeah, it's because of the select ball stuff, you know. These kids go play on the weekend, you know, and try and show out for scouts or colleges or whatever. It's just kind of the nature of the beast now. It's turned into that, where these kids don't have the baseball instincts that we just acquire over time playing the game. Little
Right.
things that you can't mimic in practice. You know, you can't put situations. Sometimes there's just things happen in a game that you're not prepared for, and if you've never been through it, how are you going to know what to do? And that's what I think a lot of the problem with the showcase stuff nowadays.
You know, the experience thing does go a long way. I mean, the other day they had Edwin Diaz, the Mets closer, is throwing, and they have a camera behind him. And somebody posts, it was a local kid around here, goes, "Can you hit this?" Right? And you see he's throwing probably 97, and things running, it's cutting. And I'm looking at it, I go, "Yeah, I could hit that, but what do I have to do? I have to get ready. I have to be short." It would be a different at bat than the guy that threw 91 without movement, where I can maybe open it up, maybe drive a double somewhere. But the fact that these guys that get this information off a tee, with a 62-year-old man, you know, it's like what Mike Tyson says: you get punched in the mouth, it changes everything. You know, we used to do stuff in in the preseason, in the winter. It'd be like, "I'm going to try this." You know, you always mess around, and you get in that cage against that live guy throwing 93, and it just, the first pitch you go, "Whoa, that's out the window." I'm not doing that. Like, I can't. But I wish that these guys could draw from that and realize that basically their whole entire philosophy is off, you know?
Well, I mean, obviously they can't, you know,
They can't.
But for them to then stand on their platform and speak to us as if, you know, they're now teaching the people who did, it's quite fascinating when you really think about it. I don't know. I mean, it's, you know, sports and baseball specifically, when you think of sports, but it's like in baseball, there's such a, you know, anybody who either watches it or, you know, is a fan can have an opinion and all of a sudden become an expert, meanwhile never having done it. You know, it's one of those odd situations. And, you know, we make fun sometimes of like either parents or these types of instructors who speak this garbage, and it's like, wait a minute, you know, what are you a professional at? Oh, you're a lawyer? Well, guess what? I watch Law and Order. Now I can do what you do. You know what I mean? Is that how it works also? You know, so I don't think that's how, you know, it was meant to play out. But unfortunately, people were given a platform.
Yeah, and they self-proclaim that now they're the experts. And, you know, one of the funniest things about all this to me is all the guys they use for examples are the superstars, the very best of the best, guys that can do this stuff in their sleep. They were born this way. Ken Griffey Jr., I mean, that guy would walk out 2 minutes before he walked into the cage with his hat on backwards and tennis shoes and not even stretch and just start hitting bombs. Joey Cora couldn't do that. Joey Cora had to go 30 minutes before and do soft toss and do, work out and stretch just to hit line drive. So we're not all made the same. And to use the greatest players to ever play this game and say, okay, this is how you're supposed to hit. It's just insane, because I couldn't, if I would have tried to hit like Barry Bonds or, Eric Davis or Mo Vaughn, I would have never made it out of A ball.
But the best part, Jeff, is like if you ask them what they're thinking, a lot of them were thinking the same exact thing as you. And they say that, like, they talk about Trout. Trout's like, he does high tee, he gets on top of everything. They talk about Bonds. I want to chop the ball off the plate. It's like, you're using a guy as an example that's telling you you're wrong. Like, even the greats thought properly.
And then they show the video, like, see, watch this.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, you just posted a video of some guy saying the opposite of what you teach, and now you're acting like you're agreeing with him.
That's because they don't feel it.
right.
Right? We go back to that.
No, their simple thing is they don't know what they did. They're just great. They don't even realize. No, they do. Those guys work harder than anybody, some of them. Alex Rodriguez had a great approach and worked his ass off,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jim, you remember the drills that Sean Green used to do in the cage, right? He put the tee on his hair.
Yep.
Almost like in his face to try to get on top and inside.
That's the thing. These guys are teaching a swing that if you throw it down and in, middle in, knee high, these guys could crush it.
Right.
But every other pitch, they have no chance.
Well, let's talk about that.
They're not going to be able to hit that pitch like with their elbow doing all this crap.
No, absolutely. And that's the best part about this, because you were talking about situational stuff earlier. And the one thing that, let's say we threw in the towel and say, hey, you know what, guys, you're right. That's the mechanics of the swing. You're right. Okay. But now talk to me about that slider down and away. Talk to me about that elevated fastball. Talk to me about, that two-seamer, that started, on the outer, the off the black and caught the corner. Like, how am I going to cover that? How's that swing going to play into that situation? And talk to me about when I get to two strikes, we had, how am I going to battle through a two-strike situation? We had Iapoce on a couple of days ago talking about the value of being able to hit with two strikes and be a spoiler sometimes. And just, with that approach, there's no spoiling going on. You're just at the mercy of the pitcher.
Yeah, and they don't care about striking out anymore.
No.
That's one of the things I think that's really bad in the game today. It's like so many of these guys that are working in these front offices now are just looking at numbers on their spreadsheets and saying, well, if he just keeps his same swing and elevates the ball, we don't care if he strikes out, because if he keeps that swing for 4 or 5 at bats over time, he's going to produce more runs and whatever garbage like that. And so I think now that I couldn't sleep at night if I struck out twice in the game. I was so mad. I was just like, striking out to me was the second worst thing I could do in a baseball game. The worst was making an error.
Yep.
If I made an error, I was so mad, because I feel like my infield coach, Perry Hill, who's a lot of people consider him to be the best in the game. I loved Perry. If I made an error, I feel like I let Perry Hill down.
Right.
So I didn't want to make an error. If I
That's
struck
your
out,
guy, right, Jim?
So many of us are exposed to him. He's the best. He's the best guy.
Bone ball. Okay, that's what he taught us. Perry Hill's nickname is Bone.
Yep.
I drew a bone and a ball on my glove.
Wow.
And every time I ran out to second base, I kicked the base in between innings. Whenever we took the field, I said, middle funnel, replace your feet, follow your throw. Every single time I took the field.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was
Perry.
A big two-strike approach guy. Very few home runs. Yet with that approach, I could still hit a home run and just touch the ball. And talking about a guy like Aaron Judge, or it doesn't take much for those guys. All they have to do is square it up, But with that approach, they're going to make.
He's a behemoth. Yeah.
So listen, let's talk about Judge a little bit, because that's like that's the pride and joy of.
Well, that's his guy, Juddy. He calls him Juddy. That's his dude.
So Jeff, we're from New York. Obviously, we see him a lot, and I'm sure you've seen him a lot too. But that guy shanks balls out of the park. Like I tell my father all the time, he's a good player, and my dad knows the game. I go, Dad, you understand that he's not going to get a hit in the playoffs, right? And he's like, what? I'm like, they're going to get him out, and they always do. I think last year was one of the first times I've seen him hit a big homer but he basically is automatic strikeout when they're really bearing down on him. Imagine he did some things that we talk about, how good he would be. I mean, he hits balls, I'm telling you, that would have been like the right fielder would have to come in and grab a shoestring catch if I hit the ball like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can tell you something funny about that because, and I hate that Aaron Judge has been kind of drug into this because, and I don't know Aaron Judge, but he seems like one of the classiest guys in the game, if not the classiest. I mean, in my mind, he took Derek Jeter's place as being the classiest guy in the game.
That's a great
Just
point.
very respectful. He's just nice to everyone, and it's unfortunate that he has an association, whether he wants it or not, with this guy, because he's the opposite of that.
Yes.
And I talked to somebody. I'm not going to say his name. I don't want him to get in trouble. Somebody in the Yankees organization who told me that Aaron Judge mishits balls out of the park, and he's like, just like you said, it's like he slices them, shanks them almost, but he's so big and so strong that he can get away with it. Yeah. Most guys can't do that.
No.
And the stadium plays into that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
I mean, and all his home runs are from center field over to right field. There was nothing wrong with that. We saw when he was in the home run derby, right? It was 2 years ago, I think it was, when he was hitting, balls in the second deck and the opposite field like it was nothing,
Yeah.
When I played, if somebody hit a home run in my era opposite field, it was a shock.
Right.
The balls didn't go out opposite field unless the superstars were doing it. The rest of us had no chance to hit a ball.
That's so true. An oppo home run was a major thing. That's a big deal if you can hit an oppo home run. Now it's just whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you listen to Aces Sangio, he says, you get your elbow down and you swing out oppo. You swing out oppo. You swing out oppo with your fishnet.
Jeff, I can't tell you how the best part of your videos is when you say, and supinate, you got to supinate.
Snap it.
Snap it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love it. Let me ask you this. When you're shooting it right before you swing, do you feel a little anxiety? Like, oh, I'm going to screw this swing up and have to reshoot this or what?
Not really. I mean,
No.
if I screw up, I'll just do it again. Most of the time it's one take or two. And then I'll just edit it real fast. And I have no script. I just stand there and I make all my family. At first couple, I let my son video me. Both my sons videoed me once, and then my girlfriend did one time. But now it's like too much pressure. I'm like nervous when they're watching. It's like, all right, everybody inside. I'll be done in 10 minutes. And then I just kind of ad-lib the whole thing. No script or anything like that. And just whatever comes out. And one of my favorite lines, I think, that one of my friends liked was, this might make you a big leaguer. I doubt it, but I'll get you a big league contract hitting with a fishnet, but I doubt it.
It's really good stuff. I mean, you guys got to be having a kick with, getting a kick out of it. So, listen, we had Louis Lopez on here. Do you remember him?
Yes.
So he said his first big league at bat, they intentionally walked him to get to you. Is this true?
Yes, I can't even tell you how mad I was.
So he said.
Well, we can only imagine how mad you were because the story goes afterwards. You made him carry your bags.
Yes, it's funny. It's really funny because, and that was my last year, and we had a bunch of rookies. We had Louis, we had Cesar Izturis, Felipe Lopez. And Chris Woodard, the manager of the Rangers.
Yep.
So I was like one of the older guys on the team, as a position guy. So I took all these guys under my wing, and I called them my regulators, like Coolio,
Yep.
Regulate. So I was like, all right, regulators, let's go. And then I also told them, I was like, all right, here's the deal. When we go on the road, you guys each get a bag of beer and put them on our bus, on the second bus, because a lot of times you'll have guys with 2 years or less. They have certain rules. 2 years or less, you got to ride the first bus with the coaches. Once you have more time, you can ride the second bus with all the guys who've been around longer. So it's kind of like initiation, but we weren't mean about it. It's just like, hey, just, go get 12 beers, put them on our bus, and go get on your bus. And Felipe was the only one who ever gave me any trouble. He's like, man, I don't drink beer. I was like, it's not for you anyway. Just go get it and get on your bus. And then the other players would be telling on Felipe, hey, Felipe didn't get beer. Felipe didn't get beer. I was like, Felipe, what's up? We had fun with it.
No, you know what's funny is Luis Lopez almost says it was like a badge of honor for him, for him to go through that. So it's
yeah, he had a good time. He said
he was awesome. He was a great guy.
Yeah.
I actually got a double too after they walked in. I was like, yeah. I think it was off of.
He left that part out.
He did. He didn't share that one.
I know who it was off. It was off of Shigetoshi Hasegawa.
Oh wow.
Shiggy.
We're gonna bring that up to him when I see him again.
Hey Chris, did you have the when you were in AAA? Did you have the second bus thing too?
Yeah.
Because we had that in Buffalo, and I didn't know. And I get on the bus, and all I see is like Johnny McDonald's behind me, and then I'm looking around. I see Eric Wedge, and I'm like, wait, I don't see any of my guys, my Akron AA teammates. And they, I go, wait, am I supposed to be here? And Johnny Mac's the best guy in the human ever. He goes, this is the guys with big league time, but sit the hell down and get a beer. I'm like, oh, all right, you sure? I was all nervous. He's like, stay here, you're good. So
those are awesome. I have so many great memories from our bus trips. I remember in Oklahoma City. Y'all remember Steve Balboni?
Of course, yeah.
Hey, so we
the
called
big
him
trade.
we called him Bones, right? And so, Yankee, he played for the Yankees.
Bye. Yep.
Jay Buhner for Balboni.
Yeah, and so Bones would sit on the back of the bus, and he would make health drinks, which was Absolute and orange juice, vitamin A and vitamin C. So if you start walking to the back to get Bones to make you basically a orange juice and vodka, everybody be like, uh-oh, coming for a health drink, and there's no light on the bus. He can't tell how much he's putting in there or whatever.
Oh man.
But also y'all, I'm sure you guys have heard the story about Ricky Henderson and getting on the bus, right?
With Oru?
Oh yeah.
No, the tenure? The tenure one?
The tenure.
Yeah,
let's tell our audience, please.
Yeah, I think Ricky was with the Padres. I think,
Tony Gwynn, yeah.
And he went and got on the bus, and he goes, oh, I see. Oh, you guys got your own seats, huh? And that's cool. And I mean, he was a character anyway. And he goes to somebody. He goes, they said, oh, Ricky, you can sit wherever you want, man. You got tenure. And he goes, man, I got more than 10 years. I got 15 years.
Speaking about good memories, we have a thing with call-up stories. Can you give us yours?
Yeah, we love to. Obviously, you got in a room full of guys who never got there. So
a lot of failures here.
Yeah, we live vicariously through our guests who've been to the big leagues, and we love hearing those situations. So tell us about your call-up.
Okay. Well, I was in Louisville, Kentucky. I was playing for the Oklahoma City 89ers, a Rangers AAA affiliate, and we're playing in Louisville. And you guys know that normally in the minor leagues you basically sleep in, you eat one meal, and go to the field because the meal money is so. I think we got $15 a day or whatever. You can't eat 3 meals, so
yep.
You're gonna skip breakfast. And a lot of times, this is before cell phones. So a lot of times we need to get a do not disturb or take a phone off the hook, unplug it. So we wouldn't get woke up by the maid service or whatever. And so for whatever reason, the phone was on the hook, and all of a sudden the phone rings at 9 a.m., which is unusual. And I just pick it up. And my roommate, guy named, how come I can't think of his name right now? I don't know. That's crazy. Looks at me and says, I'm listening on the phone. And he goes, you're going to the big leagues. He goes, and you're not coming back either. And it was my manager, Tommy Thompson.
No way.
Wait, Tommy Thompson, the catcher?
No, Tommy Thompson was, he was about 65 years old.
Yeah.
We're thinking about the guy who was the roving guy for the White Sox.
Oh, no. And he was a character. He always said, we're going to war, boys. He was the general, right? So he goes, hey, big boy. He goes, come up to my room. You're not going to the AAA All-Star game. I said, I'm not? He goes, you're going to another level. And I just sat there. I was like, I didn't even speak, right? So go up to his room. He says, all right, you're going to Texas. So now I got to go to the stadium, which probably doesn't open normally till 2 or 3 o'clock in the minor leagues. Those dudes aren't getting there at 10.
Right.
So we got to find the guy. He goes over there, opens it up. I get called up with Brian Bohannon. We go to the airport, fly to Arlington, landed at 5 p.m., get to the stadium at 5:30, go in, walk in, with my bag and stuff, and they said, go check out the lineup. So I walk over, look at the lineup. I'm leading off.
Oh, no.
Playing second base, and Nolan is pitching for us.
Oh.
Wow.
And they're like, if you can hurry up, you can get out for BP. It's 5:30. BP's over at like 6:05 or something like that. I was like, man, I got to unpack all my stuff. I don't have time. So I hurry up and got dressed and went out and took infield and got ready for the game. Basically got to the stadium an hour and a half before the game. Now I'm leading off, playing second, and Nolan's pitching for us.
You're more worried about not making an error behind him, right?
Yeah.
I did. I made an error.
Did you really?
It was Palmero's fault, though. We should have caught it. But the funny situation of that was I walk my first at bat on 4 pitches. I get to first guy, next guy hits a double play ball to shortstop. And Baerga's playing second. And I go in and I take him out and knock him down.
Nice.
And I go back in the dugout, everybody's high-fiving and all that. I didn't realize what I had just done. Because the next inning, Mark Witten's on first base. Double play ball to shortstop. Dickie Thon throws it to me.
Boy.
I go to turn it, and this dude slides about 1 foot from the base. And he's 6'4", 220 pounds.
Hard hitting Mark Witten, right?
He sounded like a freight train. I could hear him breathing as he was coming.
Oh, my gosh.
So I throw it 1 hopper to first, double play.
Nice.
Right?
Did you get nailed? I'm sure you got nailed, though.
No, I got out of the way.
Did you? Good for you.
A couple innings later, Albert Bell's on first base.
Oh, no.
Double play ball. I go to throw it, and he is still standing up running, and he never even attempts a slide and runs straight through the base. So I kind of adjust my throw to throw over his head. Palmero, and it's a high throw to first. Palmero tries to stay on the base, and it nicks off the top of his glove and goes in the freaking dugout.
That was the error.
That was the error. If he'd have come off the base and caught it,
you still had him?
I might have had him, but even if I didn't get him, it wouldn't have been an error because you can't assume a double play.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So I did go 2 for 3 with 3 runs scored. RBI, had a triple, but I made a freaking error.
So who was the hit against? Who was the first hit against?
Scott Scudder. Scott Scudder was pitching. My first official at bat, I hit a triple. I hit a sink-in line drive to left field that Albert Bell, we know he wasn't known for his great defense. He could mash, though. And he tried to make a sliding shoestring catch, and it bounced past him, and I got a triple.
He was known as the nicest guy in the league, right?
Oh, yeah. He was scary. Y'all remember when he took out Fernando Vina, right?
Oh, my God. That was amazing.
He gave him a shiver.
That shiver forearm.
Vina was a little dude, but he was a tough dude, he was scrappy. And so when Albert Bell came up, his next at bat, he got drilled. Right?
Well, he wouldn't leave, right?
No, that wasn't the one. But my buddy, who I played with, Terry Burrows, was the guy who smoked Albert Bell his next at bat, and he called me up from Milwaukee. He's like, "Weasel, what are you doing?" I was like, "Boudreaux, attaboy, I see you." He goes, "Man, I got my door locked and barricaded. I'm like, this crazy dude's gonna come find me."
Oh yeah, that's ballsy.
You always see that clip of him getting hit and refusing to go to first. He wanted to hit.
Yeah, I just saw that the other day. Yeah, in Baltimore, I think.
Hey, really quick, Jeff. Because interestingly enough, obviously you're involved on the agent side of things nowadays, right? We got this whole thing with the draft that they cut down to only 5 rounds, and then I look back at you, and you were taken in the 30th round. Is that accurate?
Yep, 30th round.
30th round, and you'll go on to hit 290 in the big leagues, right? And play 15 years of professional baseball. In this situation that we're in now, a guy like you maybe doesn't even get an opportunity. What do you have any thoughts on that?
I wouldn't say maybe. There's no chance I would have gotten an opportunity. This is an unfortunate situation. I don't really know what the right thing to do is. Sorry, I got a jet flying over, but
got to change that pattern.
It sucks for these kids, because not everyone in the big leagues was drafted in the top 5 rounds. Look at Mike Piazza.
Yep.
61st round, I think.
Yep.
Mattingly, like 38th round. You know, there's a lot of sleepers out there.
You know the numbers, though, of guys that appeared in the big leagues last year that were taken in the 6th round or later was 483 guys.
Out of 750?
No, so 1,400
out of all the guys
that appeared, you know, one game or more. So
yeah,
that's
it's like
lot.
35% or 40%.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So it is unfortunate. Jeff, I really like Texas. I used to go there with Catalinato. I see in your videos that your windmill is always firing. Is it windy there all the time? Because I want to move there.
That's not a windmill, man. That's a mojo.
What is it? Really?
It's a mojo. It's a decoy to use when you go dove hunting. It's battery operated, so it's got these wings that spin. So I just keep it in my garage, and you take it out when you go dove hunting. You know, when you go duck hunting, you have decoys, right?
Yeah.
Right. So dove, you put a couple of these mojos out there, and they got these feathers like, you know, spinning in the wind, and try to attract the doves to fly down low enough where you can shoot at them. So
that goes to show you. Well, that goes to show you us city slickers up here don't know.
Oh man, we don't know.
It's actually a decoy to keep New Yorkers out of Texas. It's too windy down there.
All right, so there's no wind there. That's good.
Oh, it is windy. It is windy.
No, it is. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, not all the time, but we get some windy days.
I guess you need it.
You see my bucket fly over sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. The more props, the better, you know?
It's growing, dude. You should see the stuff I have now. I've had, let's see, 2 tees sent to me. I have the Rebels rack has been sent to me. A coffee mug with me and the upside down video where with the inversion back deal. A coffee mug. This guy's daughter made it for me. T-shirts. Wow. I mean, I've probably done 50 podcasts, radio shows, or
Holy
Zooms.
Cow.
I think I'm supposed to do another one today, but I don't know what time or whatever. And I actually do I have been doing a podcast with a guy in New York for a couple months now.
Oh, good.
Thomas Bryce. You guys know Thomas Bryce?
No. I have to look him up.
What's the name of the podcast? Put it on here.
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot. I can't think of it right now. I can't think of it right now. Well, Thomas is great. He's been there from the beginning. And you know, he promotes. He does it with Grunt Talks. Is one of the. I'm supposed to do a deal with Grunt Talks, I think, today too, out of New York.
Oh,
I don't know why everybody from New York wants to talk to me. Crazy guy from Texas. But.
We appreciate humor and standing up for what you
believe. Some people think the videos are real, man. That's kind of funny. I get some comments going, I can't believe you would teach that to somebody.
Oh, God.
I can't believe you think I would either.
What kind of tool are you, right?
It's hard to tell nowadays.
You know what? That's a great point, Brian. It is hard to tell. You don't know who's who anymore.
So Jeff, before we let you go, we know you love basketball. Give me some of your thoughts on The Last Dance. How great is it?
Loved it.
Amazing, right?
Yeah. Well, I actually went to college to play basketball.
Is that right?
Yes. I believe it or not, I played before the 3-point line. I'm 53. I was graduated high school, 5'5", 135 pounds, going to junior college to play basketball.
Jeez.
Averaged 23.5 points my senior year without the 3-point line. And I still played basketball 4 or 5 times a week when my gym was open with all these 20-year-olds. I have a lot of fun, but Dennis Rodman went to the college, Southeastern, where I went to. He left a year before I got there. I got to play against Michael in spring training.
No way.
Yeah.
That had to be something else, man. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And actually a guy I played with in Venezuela in winter ball played on the Birmingham team with Michael and was telling stories about how Michael bought a bus for their team and stuff, you know, and he just seems like just a down-to-earth guy. I mean, but I've thoroughly enjoyed the show. I was watching it last night, 7 and 8. I didn't get to watch him on Sunday, and what an incredible competitor that guy is.
Yeah, I think we can all appreciate it. I don't know if anyone had his competitive nature, but we can all see our mindsets in him. And see how it plays out. But I do want to say this too, like, Catalanato being our buddy, I remember a few years ago with his brother, they were going through like all-time baseball stats and basically saying that I think Frank at the time, he was still playing, was a 293 career hitter. And I think only 288 or something guys that ever played the game had that high of a career average. So for a teacher, man, to have a 290 career average, I mean, you got to be the top 350 players, a few years later of all time. Mm-hmm. Which I hope that number is pretty accurate, but back, 8 years ago it was.
And I sucked my last year too. I hit 246. I hurt my knee in spring training, tore my knee. I had to have surgery. I got 4 games in the Florida State League was my spring training. And Homer Bush hurt his thumb. I went right to the big leagues, not ready to play. Right. And I had the worst year of my career, and it dropped my average from 292 to 290. But I remember Frank Catalanato. That dude could hit left-handed. He had that sweet swing. No hands up high, no stride, just kind of glide into it. And I mean, one year I think he almost won the batting title one year.
Yeah, 2001, he had 331. Yep.
Yeah, he could rake. And he was I think he was mainly a second baseman, right?
Yeah, and he played left field like the second half of his career. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did that in
sweet
Texas.
Swing, man.
Yeah. Great hitter.
What year was that?
2001. So when you were in Toronto, I guess.
Yeah, my last year in the big leagues. Yeah, he raked, man.
Yeah.
And he didn't. I wonder if he knew what his launch angle was, or if he was supinating and snapping it like you're supposed to.
Well, we talked to our hitters. The 3 of us coach there, and we'll get pullback from the kids, or they're going to tell us about dropping and lifting, and I'm like, do you know who you're talking to? This guy, like 14 years, but that's what the internet has done for these guys. It empowers people to think that you can go at the pros, and it is a discussion, and that's the worst part about it. So.
Well, I can tell you this, you guys know that I kind of got into this accidentally, right? But my goal now is to continue to expose these guys and to get parents to start paying attention and understanding. And also, I want to help get our game back from the guys that are running these teams that are just using stats and analytics and biomechanics and all this garbage, because the game's not fun to watch.
Right.
Okay. There's guys on the street now that have been in the game for 30 years that don't have jobs because people who went to, Ivy League schools are now replacing them and getting paid 3, 4, 5 times the amount they used to get paid to teach nonsense to people. And that's what I hope, if anything comes out of this, it's that we can get the people back in the game that know the game and have spent their whole life doing it, from scouting to coaches.
Jeff, you bring up something I've said for years, is we live in an unregulated industry. And you sound like the guy who lead the movement. Get this thing turned around.
Well, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I mean, we just, when I've watched baseball ever since I was a little kid, it's all I did was watch baseball. I'd sit on the couch with my grandmother and watch the Giants and Dodgers. Love the game. I'd go outside, play wiffle ball. I mean, it's in my blood, And when it's hard for me to watch a 9-inning game anymore, something's wrong.
Yeah.
It's either home run, walk, or strikeout, right? That's all you get.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of our commish either. I'm sorry. I hope you don't get mad at me, but some of this crap is, 3 batter minimum for pitchers. This, when they talked about outlining the shift, I was like, come on. So these players are so stubborn that they're not gonna go the other way. So let's change the rules for them to make it easier, so they can hit 240 instead of 210.
But like that guy who was the nut job that on Twitter that said Tony Gwynn would fail against the shift nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, it's sad. And actually had one of my old teammates, who was the guy I represented, called me one day. He goes, "Frye Daddy, you hear what they're gonna do in A-ball?" He goes, "Pitchers have to step off before they can throw to first base."
Yeah.
Really?
So imagine.
Yeah.
You're never going to pick anybody off.
And guys are going to steal 150 bases a year.
They're not going to have any fear. Yeah.
Lefties have to step off before they throw to first base.
That's true. Yep.
right?
That's a new rule?
Yeah.
That's just in A ball, they're testing it out.
Yeah, in A ball. Instead of using the Atlantic League as the guinea pig league, we're going to use A ball and below. So what about Andy Pettitte with his pickoff move? Andy Pettitte, one time, we were playing the Yankees, right? I'm at first base. Tino Martinez is playing first. I forget who was hitting, but Andy Pettitte had that great move,
Yeah.
He freaking threw to first base, and I was looking at home waiting for the pitch. And I was standing there, and all of a sudden, I looked when Tino Martinez had the ball. I was like, balk! That's got to be a balk. He picked me off without even – I didn't even see him throw the ball to first base. So you can't do that anymore in A ball and below. You have to step off. So guys are going to get an extra foot of lead, and as soon as the pitcher moves, they're gone. How's that going to make our game better?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Why are we making all these changes in the game if the game's so great?
It's mind blowing, man, and it's a disappointment, obviously, like you said, because we share the same exact sentiments as you, as guys that have grew up loving the game and enjoying it and watching it, and it has come to a place, especially at that level, where it's you ask yourself, the challenging part is you ask yourself sometimes, are we even teaching the game the right way anymore? Like, should we be changing how we teach the game? Based on what we're seeing at the big league level, and I mean, I think at our heart of hearts, we know what's the right thing to do, but it's mind-boggling to kind of see some of the real, I guess, downfalls, right? I mean, if you really want to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think with a good conscience you could teach this stuff.
Nope.
You guys lived it. You guys played. You know what it takes. Okay, and it doesn't take hitting off 1 foot with the fish net and supinating and snapping it. It takes driving through the ball, keeping your bat in the zone, using the whole field, hitting line drives, not cans of corn to the outfield.
Well, listen, Jeff, we were in shock when you accepted our request, because we know, with how the internet is, I'm sure, like you just said, you're all over the place. You've given us a lot of fun, a lot of laughs today, and we're going to continue to watch you and root for you. But if you don't mind, when we close out the show, we would love you to end it with a "She Gone," if you don't mind.
No, it's like Michael Buffer, man. I got to charge extra for that.
Oh man,
Let's
We
get
don't
ready
blame
to
you.
rumble. No, and the whole "She Gone" thing, it was an accident too. I didn't plan on doing that. The first video, I didn't do that. The first time I was like, oh, the light bulb went on, because I heard the light bulb or the wow moment or something. And I was always a big fan of Hawk Harrelson from the White Sox. I thought he was the coolest announcer with his stuff. He'd say, grab some bench or be gone, like that. And so it just came out. So you want a "She Gone"?
Yeah. So
Am I supposed to do it like this? She gone.
We'll take it. Well, listen,
My
hey,
family
Jeff,
is sick of "She Gone." I can tell you that.
Oh, really? I can imagine. But like Jim said, this has been great, man. Thanks for coming out and and taking some time out with us today. And to all our listeners out there, please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or Podbean. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Hit the subscribe button there, and leave a comment, tell a friend. And until next time,